Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I do assume we will have several more joining as we get a few minutes past the noon hour, but we'll just start with our SCORE introduction so that we save all the good stuff for when the rest I'll get here. But I would like to welcome you today to the 3 steps to maximizing LinkedIn. Today, we have a new speaker for SCORE Boston, and we'd like to welcome Kristen Dyke from Avro Creative. Let me tell you a wee bit about SCORE. SCORE does workshops, webinars, right now, just webinars. And we also offer lots of training materials and templates and videos on our website. But the most important thing that SCORE does is the mentoring. Mentoring is always free and is confidential. It is run by a team of volunteers that come from all different backgrounds, expertises, and experiences. And they're looking to give back to those that really want to start a business or already are running a small business. There is no limit for as often as to meet with a mentor. You can meet with one as often as you like. And oftentimes, as you move through the process, a team of mentors will be created for you to help you navigate your small business questions and concerns. The wonderful thing about SCORE is that it is a national organization. So if there's a reason we can't answer your question at the chapter level or the district level, we have a pool of volunteers nationwide to find the information that you need. How do you get a mentor? That's very easy. And I'm going to put those websites into the chat after I finish my intro. Those are the websites for the chapters in our district. You can go to any of them to find a mentor. There's a little tab for that. You can also put a little note in chat to the panelists, and I will make sure that the proper chapter contacts you to set you up with a mentor. You can also email me, and my email address is on my little video picture there. It's outreach@scoreboston.org, and I will put that into the chat as well. And I will make sure again that the right chapter reaches out to you to set you up with a mentor. If you already have a mentor and it's been a while, bounce your ideas off them, contact them, reach out, let them know how things are going, let them know what your new plans are. They might be able to fill in some spaces, some things that you might not have thought of. Okay, we are going to utilize Q&A. If you've not been on one of our webinars before, I do prefer Q&A. It's easier for me to keep track of the questions and make sure we don't lose them. I'm absolutely happy for you to use chat for comments or questions that are directed to me or comments to the audience, etc. Those are fine in chat. But if you have a direct question for Kristen, let's put that in Q&A so we don't lose track of it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop my share, and I'm going to turn it over. It's all yours.
Hello, everyone. Thanks so much, Teresa. Okay, I'm going to now share my screen with you. Okay, well, I'm so excited to be here with all of you today to talk about one of my favorite topics, and it is LinkedIn. So I am Kristen Dyke. I'm a LinkedIn lover, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how that came to be, because that was not always the case. First of all, I'd love to hear from all of you, though. How often are you growing your network on LinkedIn, and are you currently active on there? If you could drop that in the chat, that would be wonderful. As I know, there's a few people kind of trickling in, and as we're kicking things off, one other thing you can do is drop your LinkedIn URL into the chat. And let's take this opportunity to get to know one another. Take a look at who else is part of this community and who you want to get to know better. So drop your LinkedIn link right in there, the link to your profile, and take a look at who else is in there and reach out to them. Pick 2 or 3 members and go to their profiles and connect with them. And while you're doing that, I'll invite you to connect with me as well. So there's a barcode if you want to use the app on your phone, or you can just type it in here. So this is my company page, which is something else you can consider doing for your businesses. But today we're going to be talking about you and your personal profiles on LinkedIn. But reach out to me later if you do have any questions about company pages too. All right. So you are probably here today because one of these, it probably clicks with you. You are looking for another great role. Maybe you have a business and you're a consultant and you're looking for that next great role. Or you're client facing within another business, or, and this is probably the case for most of you in here today, is that you own a business. And this is one of the biggest boosts to your business is being on LinkedIn. Like I said, I found that out by surprise. I thought LinkedIn was a networking site for professionals, for people who are employees, and it can be great for employees. It can also be fantastic for business owners like ourselves. Okay, so for today's topics, we are going to talk about why LinkedIn. There are so many social networking sites out there today. Why do you want to be investing your time and energy into LinkedIn? Your business owners, you have so much on the go already, right? Sorry about that. Okay, I moved something around on my slide, so I'm hoping you can still see this. So after I explain all the wonderful things about LinkedIn that may be a surprise to you, we'll also talk about strategic networking. This is one of the most important things that you can do to maximize your time on LinkedIn. We'll talk about what you can do with that network to stay top of mind and how you can maximize your profile. There's some really exciting and cool things that we can do with our LinkedIn profiles, and I want to make sure that you know about them. So if we have not met yet, my name is Kristen and I am a personal branding strategist. I founded my company, Avro Creative, and I have a history in marketing, brand, and communications. I have had the pleasure of working with some of the world's biggest brands. Many of them you are likely familiar with. And I have a degree in communications, and I spent 13 plus years working in that field before launching Avro. I do workshops, speaking, one-on-one services, and online courses, and I've guided hundreds of people to overcome imposter syndrome in order to stand out so that they can grow their careers and their business. So like I said, my journey to LinkedIn has been an interesting one. It took me a really, really long time to buy into it. But what I've discovered is, without a doubt, LinkedIn is worth the time, worth the investment of our energy. And I want to take you back to years ago when I left my secure job to do what many of you have done today, which is to start a business. And I thought, oh, you know, I've made a career change. It's time for me to go log in. What's my LinkedIn password again? I'm going to go log in and make some updates to my profile. So I go in and I do just that, but I think a little bit more than normal about what I should say on there, because I realized, hey, my LinkedIn profile really should represent what I'm doing. I want to make sure that my previous colleagues know what I'm up to now and see why maybe my background has led me here, and in hopes of, you know, bringing in new clients, right? That's what we're all trying to do. So I do that. And just a couple of weeks later, I get an email from a recruiter. And she's posted a job description in a direct message to me. And It's at a well-known company in my city. And this was my corporate dream job. It was a blend of operations and communications. And this is sort of my sweet spot. This is where I like to work within the wide world of communications. So I think, okay, well, that's interesting. It's probably just a fluke. And I kind of carry on. And I dabble in every once in a while. I check in what's going on there and see what's going on, but I'm still not really taking it all that seriously. So fast forward another year and I go back on LinkedIn. I'm doing, I'm probably going in there once a month, maybe just sort of checking things out. And I go and get a notification that, new people have viewed my profile. And I see that a woman named Sherry has viewed my profile. Now, Sherry is the CEO of a national women's network here in Canada. That's where I live. And I think, oh, that's really interesting. So I think, okay, I'm going to do something really bold and I'm going to go click on her profile, connect with her. And in doing that, I can send her a message. So I really warmly just say, hello, Sherry. I noticed that you checked out my profile. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm really excited to have the opportunity to connect with you. Well, I was shocked because just a moment later, she accepts my connection request and replies with a message. And she says, we are looking for a speaker on the topic of personal branding. We searched and your profile came up. Can I have someone from my team email you about this opportunity? And I'm going, oh my gosh, okay, absolutely. Yes, here's my email address. So the next day I'm on the phone with someone in Toronto. We're planning this event and fast forward and I get booked to speak at their event on personal branding and I am the keynote. And this event changed my career. It put my name out there on a national level. It got me recognized and promoted to my target audience, which are female executives. And it was all through LinkedIn and putting a little bit of time and energy into the platform. So the picture on the screen there in front of you is a screenshot from their social media post about the event. I had shared it and sent it to them. And there I am, the room is filled with over 100 women. And it was such a fun day. And it made a huge impact on my career. So it was after those two events that I decided, or those two things happening, the recruiter reaching out to me, which I thought was a fluke, and now Sherry reaching out to me and me getting this great opportunity. And I thought, okay, it's time for me to take this LinkedIn thing a little bit more seriously. So I did. And it has been quite a journey since then. I want to share with you what I have learned because I have learned a lot. So LinkedIn is the largest professional networking site. Now, more important than that, it is the most trusted social networking site. Now, I know that this slide is a big no-no. If any of you are also in communications or marketing, you know you're not supposed to jam all this information into one single slide. Take a screenshot. I don't have the time to go into all of these facts and figures today, but I want you to know that there are some really wonderful things about LinkedIn that make it stand out against all these other social networks. So, like I said, it is the most trusted social networking site. If you look down at the very bottom there, it says that LinkedIn is Google indexed. So what does that mean? Well, it means that when people Google your name, and they are going to Google your name, if you are looking for business partners, investors, clients want to hire you and they know you are the owner of a company, they know you are the person that will be working with them directly, they will Google your name. Well, what comes up? The things that you've posted on LinkedIn have come up because LinkedIn is Google indexed. So LinkedIn has great search engine optimization and search results. So your LinkedIn profile will come up on the first page of Google. This is fantastic. If any of you are paying for SEO, you know that it can be very expensive. LinkedIn is giving us free real estate on the internet. So this is one of the reasons you want to be maximizing LinkedIn. Now, you probably are on other social media sites. And if your core audience is on TikTok or is on Facebook or Instagram, that's fantastic. Go to those places, be there as well. But make sure that your LinkedIn profile is a great and true representation of who you are right now, because the fact that it is Google indexed, the fact that it is the most trusted social networking site out there means that people will click on it if they want to really get to know about you and who you are as a business owner. Something else I want to draw your attention to on the slide is that number, third from the bottom, that says that LinkedIn saw a 55% increase in conversations among connections in 2020. And you're probably thinking, well, of course, that's what happened. It was 2020. Maybe people didn't have anything else to do. And why this is relevant will become very apparent to you in a few minutes, because I'm going to be talking to you about having more conversations on LinkedIn. And if you aren't currently having conversations on LinkedIn, you might think that you're reaching out to somebody is going to be strange, when in fact, conversations are happening on LinkedIn all the time. The direct messaging feature or InMail is really, really active. So just because you're not seeing some of those conversations happening doesn't mean they aren't, and doesn't mean that you should not be reaching out, because you should. Okay. So a couple of other things that I want you to know about LinkedIn is that 80% of the people on LinkedIn drive business decisions, and there are actually over 61 million senior level leaders on LinkedIn. So for those of us who are business owners, specifically consultants, or you do B2B, or your business is B2B, this is huge. This means that people can see who you are, they can hire you, they have the power to hire you, they have the power to purchase your product in large quantities. These are the people that you want to be building relationships with, that you want to be making a great first impression with. And one of the other really exciting things about LinkedIn is that you have the power to multiply your client base simply by connecting with current and past clients and customers. So as you can see with the graphic going on the slide there, LinkedIn is a social network, and LinkedIn takes this really seriously. And if you notice that you'll be able to search people, or you'll be able to understand how you are connected to people on LinkedIn based on if they are your first connection, your second connection. So first connection means that you are directly connected to them. Second, third connections mean that you're connected to those people through one or two other people. So you have the ability now to reach more people through your content, to send messages and ask for connection requests from your clients as well. So this is a great way if you're looking to bring in more leads to your business. LinkedIn is a fantastic place to be doing this. Okay, so what might be holding you back from doing that? Well, if you're like most of my clients, when they come to me, you aren't currently adding to your connections regularly. You aren't sure who those connections should be, and maybe you're overwhelmed by the number of connection requests that come in to you, and you're overwhelmed and uncertain about how to decide who to accept requests with and who to ignore and say no thank you to. You probably want to improve your presence on LinkedIn and have a strong personal brand, but you're going, but how? And with all of the great things that I mentioned about LinkedIn, there's decision makers on there. there's people that have the money to spend on you and your products and services on there. That can create a feeling of pressure, I've got to get this right. I've got to be perfect. Let's talk about those things, because you don't actually have to be perfect. There's no such thing. You do need to be professional, though. You do want to be polished. So we'll talk about how you can do that. So what might be stopping you? So networking on LinkedIn, you might hear that word networking and think, oh, networking is hard. Networking is uncomfortable. Networking on LinkedIn isn't the same as going to a networking event. So just because going out to networking events is not your thing, that doesn't mean LinkedIn can't be your thing. Maybe you're seeing those spam emails where someone just sends you an out of the blue message saying, hey, I've got this service, or hey, I noticed this on your website. Let me fix it for you. I can help. And you aren't appreciative of that. You don't like that. Well, you don't have to do that. I'm not going to suggest you do. I suggest that you have a different approach if that is what you're doing. You do not need to take on those types of activities to be successful on LinkedIn, to bring in leads to your business. Or maybe you're thinking, oh, she's going to tell us we've got to start creating content all the time. I don't have anything to say. That's absolutely not true. We'll talk about what kind of content you might want to consider creating on there. You absolutely have something to say. Your insights are important. And if people want to hire you, or they'll consider hiring you, they definitely want to hear from you and hear your takes on certain things. Most importantly, what I want you to know is that LinkedIn is not just another place to share content. If you're on some of the other social networking sites, you know that it can be really overwhelming to prepare content, to figure out the hashtag strategy, to be doing all the engagement. LinkedIn is not just another place where you need to go and do this. This is, it can be a full-time job just running a single Instagram account. It's not like that on LinkedIn. And this is also not the place that you're going to go, or where other people go, to be entertained, to just scroll endlessly or mindlessly. You should be on there with a different mindset, because others are on there with a different mindset. This is professional networking. People are there to do business. And what does that mean? It means that LinkedIn can make you money, real money. It can bring a lot of great things to your business. Okay, so are you ready? I've shared with you all the many reasons why I changed my tune around LinkedIn. All the great things that I have learned about why things like this happen to me, that I am far from the only one that good things happen to on LinkedIn. I want to help you learn the strategies, the shifts that I made in order to have these things happen regularly. I want you to have them too. Are you ready? Are you ready to jump in? And are you ready to start to take some action? Because I can give you all of this information. The reality is that you have got to get in there. You've got to push yourself up a little bit, up to and outside of your comfort zone. And you've got to take these steps seriously if you want to see these kinds of results. So let's jump in. So having a great strategy on LinkedIn, if you really want to maximize it, this is what it's got to start with. Knowing your audience. Okay, I'm seeing lots going on over here in the chat. Awesome. Okay. So knowing your audience. So say you are looking for a job, maybe you are a B2B business, or you are B2C, business to consumer. How can you maximize your time on LinkedIn? Well, it starts with knowing who your audience is. Think about, and even you've got a piece of paper, if you've got your notes app handy on your phone, who is your audience? think about this in terms of the demographics. What industries are they in? What role and title are the people that you go through in your sales processes? Who are the decision makers? If you are a business that is location specific, know what location that is. These are all things that you can plug into LinkedIn's search bar in order to find these people. Your customers are on LinkedIn. LinkedIn makes it pretty easy for you to be able to find them based on these demographic searches. And you are able to do this just with your free, your basic, your unpaid LinkedIn account. If you have a paid account, then the search functionality goes even deeper. So know your audience. This demographic information is the most important thing that you want to know in order to find your audience. So here's an example of how to use the search bar. So you can look for people, you can look for their posts, you can look up companies or groups they belong to, job titles, what school they went to, what events they're going to. All of that information is available to you. What I want you to do is add connections. So, what I mentioned before about multiplying your very own client base, make sure that you are connected to your clients and customers on LinkedIn. They will be more than happy to accept your connection request if you're not already on there. Connect with leads as well. If you've started them in your sales process, connect with them on LinkedIn. This is a social network. The expectation, especially now, is that we are socializing. So what you want to do when you're adding connections is sending a personalized connection request. And one other thing that I want you to be aware of when you are adding connections is not to overdo it. Be really strategic about adding people who are in your target audience. Add them every week, but don't blindly add people. LinkedIn is aware that there is spamming going on and they're really trying to cut this down. So make sure that you either know the people personally, that you know them through somebody else, that you're making it clear why you are adding them to your network. You do not want to be marked as sending spam or get blocked by somebody else. And if you send over 100 connection requests in a week, they're going to lock down your account. You won't have access for up to a week. So think about that. Be really clear and strategic about who you are adding to your list of connections. Now, I want to help make sure you feel really, really comfortable adding connections. So here's some examples. These are real-time, real-life examples that are screenshots from my own direct messages that come in from connection requests, and also ones that I have sent out. So here's a message from a woman. She says, "Hello, Kristen. I'm reaching out to connect. I'm doing research with motivated, interesting, and impactful humans such as yourself. Would love for you to be part of it. Cheers, warmest." And then she shares her name. So she's very, very warm in her message. You'll notice she really lays it on thick. She's complimentary. And she piques my interest because she says she's doing research. Now, research could mean anything. I looked on her profile. I knew she wasn't doing any kind of scientific research, but research maybe could mean, I'm doing informational interviews. I'm doing research into my target customer. So I replied and said, "Hey, thanks for connecting." I accepted her connection request. "It's nice to meet you. What kind of research are you doing?" And we conversed back and forth from there. So that's one way that you could do it. Say, "Hey, I'm interested in doing research in your industry." And now you can start having a conversation about someone who's your target customer in a non-salesy way or in a non-threatening way, where you're not trying to make a sale right off the bat. You're really just looking to build a relationship, build a deeper understanding with somebody. So here is another one. So I reached out to this person. She is a marketing manager. So I get hired to go into corporations to speak on personal branding and employee branding. And she's a marketing manager. So she is a decision maker. And I thought, she had looked at my profile. Perhaps she was looking at bringing someone into her company. So I looked back on her profile, and to be honest with you, I felt a little bit uncomfortable in this moment. I felt like, here's this woman from another city. I'm not sure if she's going to feel uncomfortable by me reaching out to her. I was having my own moment of imposter syndrome. And I thought, Kristen, you teach this to other people. You encourage them to do this. You've got to do it too. So I did. So I go and I look at her profile, and I realize we are part of the same professional association, IABC, the International Association of Business Communicators. And I realized that is how I can explain we have some similarities. So this is another really important thing to do. When you want to make a connection with somebody, and if it's not someone that you have met in person, take the time to look at their profile. What's something you have in common? What is something really interesting about them that you want to say it stood out, it caught your attention? Some people leave sort of little breadcrumbs in their profiles for you to be able to do that. So pay attention, take the time to do that. One of the things I do, and I've seen other people start to do this as well, is within my headline, I mention that I am a chocolate lover. So that's just a real fun, personal, but not too personal thing about myself that other people kind of grab onto, and it makes it easy for them to reach out and say, hey, fellow chocolate lover here. And that's their way to start a conversation. For one of my other clients, he's a former football player. So, hey, if you ever want to connect with me and talk football, that's something that's in his profile. So those kinds of things, if you are wanting to make it easy for people to connect with you, and I suggest you do that, leaving a couple of those little breadcrumbs that are friendly. They don't have to be super personal, but they're friendly enough that people can say, oh, interesting. I also, I'm a parent of a football player, or I'm really into sports too. Maybe that could be it. Or a question about a specific, chocolate bar or chocolate company could be sent to me, that kind of thing. So as you can see on your screen, in this case, I had a really positive message, and it's a good reminder for me, for all of us. We all feel imposter syndrome sometimes. So she replies, she accepts my connection requests, and she says, yes, I'm also part of IABC. And she mentions a piece of content that I had created on personal branding and that she appreciated it. So it felt really, really nice. And it was really affirming that, yes, let's keep adding these connections, building our relationships with people online. So what about the other way around? When you are not just outreaching and connecting with other people, but you go into your LinkedIn and you've got that notification up at the top of your screen, and it says you have connection requests. Who do you accept? Who do you not accept? Have you ever been there looking and going, why is this person adding me? Do I know this person? What is going on here? Well, let's talk that through. So first and foremost, are they within your audience? Then I would say yes, add them, accept them, even if they have not sent you a message, which is really a best practice. They should have sent you a message explaining why they are connecting, but instead take the opportunity to start the conversation. Hey, thanks for connecting with me. What made you want to reach out? Or do exactly as you would do if the shoe were on the other foot and you were reaching out to them, and scan their profile, maybe find out, think about why it is that they're wanting to connect with you. You're maybe in a similar industry. Maybe you know some of the same people. Maybe you are working towards some of the same goals. Bring some of that information up and use that to start the conversation. In some cases, though, it's okay to say, no, I don't know this person. This person is not relevant to me. And we're thinking strategically. We want to grow our network, but we want our network to be comprised of people that will help us reach our goals. And part of reaching our goals is knowing that you have a network of people that you can help. This is one of the most important parts of networking, and being on LinkedIn and really maximizing your time on there begins with the idea that having a network isn't all about take. What can I get from my network? It's just as much, if not more, about how can I support the people in my network. We live in a culture where reciprocity is really, really huge. You will be top of mind and remembered for helping somebody else, whether that's helping them connect to a new employee if they're hiring, helping to answer one of their questions, just about anything. So keep that in mind, that you want to be a supporter of your network, and that will pay off for you in dividends. So the biggest thing that I would like you to consider as you go on your journey on LinkedIn, if you're already active on LinkedIn, consider being even more active. There's lots of new and exciting things happening on LinkedIn all the time. They're much easier to add to the way that you use the platform, more so than on other social media sites when they introduce or take away different parts of itself. But if you are elsewhere on your journey, if you are pretty passive, if you are not on LinkedIn at all, what I want you to do is make that shift. Whatever the version of passive that you are right now, kick it up a notch, become more active. This is a social network. This is not meant to be a set it and forget it, static profile page for you. Your profile page should evolve as you and your business are evolving. So do what you can to make that shift from being passive to being active. One of the most effective ways that you can do this is by engaging with your network and becoming a thought leader. Okay, so if you are, you've got the profile, you've spent some time, you've been really thoughtful about it, now is the time to engage with your network. Put your thoughts out there. Be seen as the leader that you are. Now, with LinkedIn, there are a lot of different ways to engage, and I want to expand your mind, expand your thinking about what these are. When I say engage, when I say create content, you're probably thinking you're going to create a newsletter, articles, or create posts or videos. All of those are great, and I do recommend you do that. That is the biggest way that you can make an impression on people. I also recognize that you might not be there yet. Okay, it's a big shift to go from not active at all, maybe not even having a LinkedIn account, to having videos going out regularly or having posts. So what I want you to do is take baby steps and pick a few of these things that you see on my list here. So likes and shares, that can be where you start. So you start to like certain people's content, you share their content. Now, when you share someone else's content, whether this is a person in your network, or if this is somebody who, or a business account, explain why you are sharing it. What parts do you agree with? Pull a quote out that really stood out to you. You can engage simply by sending someone a direct message or email, someone that you have in your network that you haven't kept in contact with. Send them a message. Sending out those connection requests, endorsements, and recommendations. This is a way you can make someone's day. It's Friday. Sometimes on Fridays, I create posts to encourage my network to endorse people for their skills and make recommendations. So a recommendation is kind of like a testimonial. You can make someone's day. The world is a hard place to be in right now. These little activities go a long way in improving someone's day. So that's one way that you can endorse and that you can engage with your network. And then comments. Comments actually count as content on LinkedIn. So those of us who were like myself, we had been thinking this for a really long time, that our comments are just as effective as creating content or creating your own posts. And that's because they get so much visibility. So in order to create that visibility, you want to write a comment that's at least 1 or 2 sentences long, that's really thoughtful, that's adding to the conversation, more than simply, hey, this is great, or hey, thanks for sharing, or cool. Add to the conversation, even ask a question. And now what you can do is take your comment, and LinkedIn will often give you the opportunity, once they see that you're making it longer than just a, hey, great post, a pop-up box will appear, and you can actually share that, your comment with that original post underneath it. So we've been proven right that our comments are considered content by LinkedIn. So this is a great way that they are recognizing how their users are using the platform and acting really positively in response to that. So help and ask for help, post your insights, your tips, and ask for help. Maybe you have an Excel question. Maybe you're looking to find a candidate or a subcontractor. Ask for help. Your network will want to jump in and help you. And one more time, comment, comment, comment. Be positive, continue the conversation, be insightful and thoughtful. Okay, I'm going to come back to that one later, but what I really want you to know about networking on LinkedIn is the same idea about having a great network in person applies to your LinkedIn network. And this is a play on a quote that you all know from JFK, but it's, ask not what your network can do for you, but what you can do for your network. So building your network on LinkedIn is so worth it. It might not pay off immediately, but building your network with this way of thinking in mind is really, really going to support you in your business over the long term. Okay, so you're doing all these things, you're being really, really active on LinkedIn. Well, what's going on with your profile? Because as you're looking at other people's profiles, what are they doing? They are looking at your profile. Okay, now let's make sure LinkedIn is doing the heavy lifting for you. Sorry, my slide have been skipped. Okay, make your profile do the heavy lifting, and that's because it can be a lead generating machine. Make sure your profile answers the question that people will have for you. What do you do? What problems can you solve for your target audience? Because that's who you're reaching out to. So they're absolutely going to be looking at your profile. What questions are they going to have about you right away? What do you want them to know about you? Make sure it's really, really apparent, because just like you're out there looking for people that you want in your network, they are doing the same. And you want your profile to come up in their search and for them to be impressed when they do click on it. So this can be a lead generating machine and not a time suck. So how do you want to do this? So in order to maximize yourself on LinkedIn today, make sure that you fill out each section of your profile. And yes, I know there's some sections that are way down. You have to scroll way to the bottom of your profile, like your skills, like your recommendations and your interests and groups. It kind of makes it seem like they're not that important. They're actually very important. So make sure that you are updating the skills that you have. You can pin your top skills to the top of your profile. And that really helps that. So when someone is looking for a person like you with your skill set, and they type that skill set into the search bar, if it's listed in your profile as a skill, it's going to come closer to the top of their search. So make sure you are paying attention to all those little details on your profile because they matter. Now, another thing that you can do, and this is relatively new, but add media anywhere you can. So I've got an example here within the experience section of my profile. I've got media. I've got it's those pictures that you see on the screen right over here and down here. You can add media to each job that you've had in each role within that job. The other big place that you can add media now is in the featured section, and that's relatively new. But the featured section is really exciting. It makes our profiles much more dynamic, much more visual. And most importantly, for us as business owners, the featured section, it allows us to link somewhere else. So you can link it to, maybe you have a YouTube channel and that's where you're getting revenue from. Take people from LinkedIn over to YouTube, or it's your website. Take them there to a landing page. Whatever it is that you're promoting at the moment, make sure it's updated in your featured section. And then maximize your headline. So your headline is, we'll see it on the next slide. Right here. So this is my headline: personal brand strategist, speaker, advocate for women in STEM, employee branding trainer, and like I mentioned before, chocolate lover. So this shows up when I make comments on other people's posts. They can see a portion of it depending on, if they're on mobile or if they're on their desktop, but they can usually see at the very least personal brand strategist and speaker. So I want those to show up. I want them to recognize that about me right away. Those two things are the most important things to my personal brand and to my business. So you can also create one of these awesome barcodes. Maybe you're starting to go to events. Maybe you're looking at going to an in-person event or a conference down the road this year, and you don't have business cards yet, or you need to get them reprinted. Well, what about this as your business card? You can do this on LinkedIn. I'm actually going to be posting a tutorial on my LinkedIn later today on how to do this because someone asked. This is a fantastic way of, one, showing people what you do, what you're all about, what your headline is, and then giving them the opportunity, because we're familiar with QR codes now, to go and connect with you right away. So if you have your smartphone with you and it's handy, test this out and check out my profile, connect with me, or you can use this. This is my unique URL as well. So we're just about at 10:02. I've got some action items for you because my goal for you today is to have a profile that stands out and that brings opportunities for you, to you, for your business. I want you to be able to do some of these things today so that you're really maximizing your time on the platform. And don't forget about it. Don't be like I was years ago, logging in once a month or so. Check in, because once you start to really invest in your profile, and you'll start to see people connecting with you. You'll start to see people wanting to build relationships with you and know who you're all about. And you don't want to miss out on an opportunity to respond to a message from them when they send you a message, when they're ready to start doing some business and make a decision. So right away today, I'd love it if you would connect with me. Get some practice making those connection requests, like I said, with the people in our group today with SCORE Boston. Connect with me. We're warm, we're friendly. Get some practice doing that. connect with your existing clients if you are not already, and then go in and spend some time on your profile. And then you can start to do all the other fun things I was talking about, creating some of that content, that engagement, and that outreach to build your list of connections. Okay. Does anyone have questions? Teresa.
Yes, we do have some questions.
Great.
How much time do you spend on LinkedIn every day or every week?
That's a really great question. So I try to spend no more than 20 minutes a day on LinkedIn. I started to set a timer because there were times when I would get distracted and I didn't want to have that passive mindset, because you start to read someone's newsletter or article, or you see a news article. I wanted to be really, really intentional with my time. So I set a timer for 20 minutes to make sure I was doing that, to make sure I was engaging with the people that I wanted to engage with, that I was replying to the messages that I needed to, and that I was creating a post or responding to a post that I had done the day before. So I do 20 minutes per day, just about every day, not on weekends, although I am starting to do a little bit on Saturdays because that's when there seems to be a lot more engagement right now. The other exception to that is on Thursdays, because I do a LinkedIn Live every Thursday. They're between 15 and 25 minutes. So yeah, that's a great question.
Do you recommend to use the personal page for blogs and posts or a business page for coaches?
I recommend doing using your personal page and really maximizing that, because people trust people more. LinkedIn profile pages still have the most reach. You'll have more connection requests coming to that. And it'll be easier to grow your network there than it will be to grow your followers on your company page. I do recommend having both. Just recognize that people want to interact with you, the person, more than your business, but do things to drive them to your company page and vice versa.
When you say share comments, where do they get shared to? Are you sending them to specific people?
Oh, good question. Okay, so when you share a comment, so the comment will be, it's public. So there'll be, someone's got a post, say they're saying, hey, I'm looking to hire somebody. So then you can comment and say, tell me a little bit more about the individual you're looking for. And I think I'll, and does anyone in my network have these skills? And then it'll post there so that the people within that person's network will be able to see your comment because they're seeing their original post. But if that little box comes up where LinkedIn's inviting you to share it and you click it and say yes, then it will appear in your network's home feed. So the home feed is, you click the little house at the top, the home, it's where all the other posts are coming to. So now it's in front of your network and it looks like it looks the same as if you were to share an article or something like that. Does that answer the question? I wish I had a visual to show you.
I will assume it does. And if it doesn't, maybe they can submit additional information.
Okay.
If I write an article for LinkedIn, should it be a certain length?
Yeah, I recommend keeping it at least 500 words, 750 tops. LinkedIn articles are also Google indexed, so it could also show up on the first page of Google, which is really, really, really fantastic. So absolutely write that article. It's hard to say for sure the length, but I would say, at least 500 words that will help it show up in a search engine. And then know what your audience is looking for. You kind of have to experiment a little bit, but Typically shorter is going to be a little bit better. Make sure there's lots of white space, because a lot of users, especially as we're maybe some are starting to go back to the workplace or commute, they're reading this content on their phone. So you want to make it really, really easy for them to actually see it. So don't assume that they're reading your article on their desktop computer. Assume they're reading it on their phone, so that it works well for both those places.
What's the advantage of having a barcode for your smartphone?
Having a barcode for your smartphone means that if you are out and about and you forget your business cards, you don't have business cards yet, because we're kind of not in the practice of having them in the last couple of years, then someone can just, you're out at an event, you pull up your barcode, which gets saved to your photos section of your phone. And then you can just show it to them, and then they can scan it with their phone, and then they'll be taken to your profile where they can connect with you.
I have two questions that are somewhat similar, so I'm going to kind of smoosh them a little bit. Does your business have its own LinkedIn page, and why should we have a business page too?
Yeah, so my business does have its own LinkedIn page, absolutely. I shared it at the start of the session today, I created a barcode for it as well, but I did it in Canva. Check it out so you can kind of see the difference between the two of them. My company page is more business focused in the sense that I'm promoting blogs, but I'll often take my personal page will share my company page, share those blogs, and then it makes it more personal. People want to interact with me, like I said, with a person. One of the other advantages to having your company page, your business having a company page, is it makes your profile, your personal profile, look more professional. It makes your business look more legitimate. When you say you're self-employed or you say you have a business, and then people see it on your profile, but they just see that grayed out little box, it kind of looks like, she doesn't have a logo, or it's not a serious business. There's just sort of this bias that people have about that. So when you have your own company page, you can link your job, your role to that company page, and then your logo will show up on your profile. And if you only do it for that reason, that's reason enough. But you can also use it to bring in more of your followers, so your network who are connected to you on LinkedIn, and they're also following your company page. That really shows you that they're more invested in you and what you're doing. So it brings them into your idea of who your leads are. It allows them to see even more of you and your content on the platform.
This one, she is a vocal coach helping singers and a speaker to develop voices. I'm wondering if it makes sense to use LinkedIn to let people know about both of these services, or just focus on speakers because public speaking is more business related, so I don't dilute the message.
Yeah, I think that would be their primary message. I think you can also post on there. So especially if you're doing this through the same company, under one company, you don't have two separate businesses for each of these things. One thing that you can do now is have your experience section call attention to both you as the vocal coach and you as the speaking coach. So absolutely, the speaking coach side of things is more relevant to people on LinkedIn. So you want to be promoting that more, but that's not to say that your role as a vocal trainer is irrelevant. I think people will see that as something that's really unique to you that will help you stand out, and they'll see how you as a vocal coach helps you become a better speaker coach, because you're going to be able to fix the tone of voice, all of those other details as well. So they are related in that way. So yeah, that is a really, really good question. I think it's important, whether it's, this woman who's asked this question or others, know who you want to reach with what specific service or product, what's the prime thing your audience is looking for on LinkedIn, and lead with that, but pull the relevant pieces and you can add them in elsewhere.
Okay, I think we're to our last question. Do you, or how do you put your regular resume on LinkedIn?
There's, I guess it's a question, are you thinking do you copy and paste your regular resume into LinkedIn? And the answer is no, you don't want to copy and paste your regular resume onto LinkedIn. If you are looking for a job, you want to be tailoring every resume that you're sending out there to that specific role, but using your LinkedIn to tell the broader story of who you are.
Okay. Okay. Somebody asked about the recording. That will be posted by Monday. And let me put that link back in. That'll be on the SCORE Boston website under workshops. And then there's a link to previously recorded webinars, and trying to find my original link so I can just copy paste it in. But anyway, so that's where you're going to find it. And that'll, like I said, that'll be there by Monday, potentially even later today. Okay, I think that covers, I think that covers everything. I just want to welcome Kristen for, thank her for the great presentation full of tons of information. And thank you all for joining us today. And I wish you all a great weekend.
Thanks, everybody. Looking forward to continuing the conversation. If your question wasn't answered here, just send a message on LinkedIn.
Thank you.
Thanks.